Do you ever look around your house and feel like you're constantly behind? The dishes pile up, the laundry never ends, and your brain is juggling a dozen unfinished tasks. I have felt that way too. But then I tried something simple, something old fashioned even, and it brought a new kind of peace to my home. Hi, friends. Welcome back to Natasha's Healthy Living, where we nurture wellness naturally. If you've ever tried planners or apps and still feel overwhelmed by homemaking, you're not alone. I found that simple visual tools work best for me, and today I'm sharing one of my favorites. It's a paper based index card system inspired by the Sidetracked Home Executives method from the 1970s. And it just might be the peaceful, flexible routine you've been looking for. And if you're familiar with the Fly Lady system, this is actually the precursor to her system and where she got the initial idea. And I love that they've all worked together to share the news of how to keep track of your home simply and easily just by using an index card system or a simple list every day. So today I'll walk you through the setup, how I use it day to day, and how it keeps me from forgetting the little things that really matter. There's even a free printable guide to help you get started. So let's dive in. Back in the 1970s, two sisters created a system to help sidetracked women stay on top of housework with, you guessed it, index cards. It was simple, visual, and built for brains that don't thrive on rigid planners. As a busy mom who's also trying to run several small businesses, this spoke to me. You can find the book on Amazon and Thrift Books, and I'll have it linked below. And the audiobook is on Hoopla for free through your local library, or you can listen to it on Audible. I highly recommend listening to the audiobook. It's a fun and inspiring listen, and I've listened to it multiple times. I even use the affirmations at the end as part of my morning routine because they help get me focused and in the right frame of mind to start my day on a good footing. So let's chat about some of the supplies that you need. Of course, you need a pen to write with and some sort of index cards. You could even cut up paper if you wanted to do that. I have a bit of a conglomeration. It's some that I had on hand and then some that I ended up buying. So I think these more pastel colors came in the pack that I bought recently. And then these brighter fluorescent colors were in a collection I had at home from who knows when. So some sort of collection of index cards. You can use the color coding system that is mentioned in the Sidetracked Home Executives book. And so for that, you would need yellow cards for your daily tasks, blue cards for the weekly tasks, white cards are going to be your monthly tasks, and then pink cards would be purple. But you could set up whatever color coding system you want and that works for you. Of course, you need set my planner aside. Don't need that right this second, or the book, but I did use the book as I was going through the system. There's some index pages here at the back that were pretty helpful. So they kind of talk to you about different ways to use the cards, different ways to set up your basic plan and the frequency tracking and all of that. And then I just have this little wooden block. This came from, I think, some sort of monthly calendar or like devotional cards or something. But basically I just use my current stack of cards and they sit in there like that, which is just nice for sitting on the counter. You don't need this at all. You could use a business card holder from the Dollar Tree. You could just use whatever you want for that. And then of course, some sort of a box to house your cards. You could also use a pouch or a bag, just something to keep them in. Of course, if you're not planning on taking your cards anywhere, then the box works great. But it could even be a basket. If you have a small basket or storage bin at home, you don't even have to get the official index card boxes. You could just find whatever container works that you have. Now, as far as the setup goes, you will need some sort of divider tabs. You could make your own out of cardstock or paper if you feel like cutting them out. I had these on hand and it was a set of blank dividers, so they all just came like this. And then I just went through my sticker stash and one of my Happy Planner sticker books, I think it's maybe a memory keeping one. There were all kinds of monthly stickers and of course the numbered stickers. So I just used those to create my own tabs. And then I have these blank ones back here, plus I have some extras I haven't used in the box yet, but I might at some point make these some of the subcategories like reference or, people. You can have a place for keeping track of names, addresses, and phone numbers, or wish lists. You could use extra tabs for whatever you want. And then I had, these were a monthly card, like not a perpetual calendar, but essentially it was a kind that would sit in a holder like this, but it was bigger. It had, I think, a quote at the top. I think that was it. And I just cut the top off and made them fit my card. And then I just did, a roll up of tape to tape them to my monthly dividers. Because of course, next year, these will all be the wrong dates and I'll need to do something different. But it is helpful to have either an entire year at a glance calendar, or you could do something like this where you have the monthly calendar on each tab. But as you're moving your cards, it's just nice to be able to reference what days of the week, different numbered, what the date falls on as far as what day of the week. Because when you're talking about your system, there are going to be things that are best to do on certain days of the week. So now let's talk about how to use the system. As you can see, I also have my cheat sheet here. Something else you could use in place of this would be your schedule. So this is, another way to kind of reference what things are. Basically, just put what you're going to be referencing the most up here and have that available. I typically will take the month out and set it up here when I'm kind of resetting my cards for a new day. I use the military system and file things to the front of the tab. So here is the 11th, which is today, and I'm going to take out my cards for the day, and we'll just first kind of flip through them. This is typically what I'll do in the morning. So vacuuming the kitchen, I do need to do that. I don't feel like starting off my day with that, so that's probably going to be later in the afternoon. Fertilizing the plants, I probably need to do that. It's not super important. I also probably need to clean out the fish pond filter. That could be done at any point this weekend. As for laundry, I have that load I need to do. Here's another kitchen task. So I kind of sort through my cards based on where the tasks fall or what time of day I think I'm going to be using them. I do need to write my letters and packages. That's something I would do up here in my office. So I might do that later when I'm kind of needing some downtime in the afternoon. So here's another water outdoor plants, and I already have my fertilized plants. So the watering one, you can see it's a yellow card and it's either daily or every other day, depending on the weather. Whereas my fertilizing, it could be as often as weekly, monthly, or every other month. It depends on what the plant is. So I'm going to put those together for now because these are all outdoor things. All those 3 tasks are. Now I have my grocery list basically started, but I need to review it with my menu plan for next week and just make sure I'm not forgetting anything. And I also need to order groceries. So that's another job at some point I need to do. That's more down in the kitchen rather than up here in my office. Budget check-in and our monthly budget. I'm almost done with the monthly budget. I just need to finalize a couple of things. And then I try to do a daily or every other day budget check-in. And I did one, I think yesterday, but I want to just double check since today was payday. So I'm going to put that here. These are all kind of office related tasks and things I want to do upstairs here in my office. Now these hot pink cards, so pink is technically personal. And what I decided to do, since I had multiple shades of pink, is anything that my daughter could do or is specifically for her, I've been putting those on the fluorescent cards. So she doesn't have a backpack right now, but this week she did an art camp each day. That's where she is right now. So she has been bringing a little bag with her with just kind of her supplies and things she wanted to take for the day. So I would like her to clean that out since today is the last day. And when she gets home this afternoon, she could do that. And then tonight she does need a shower. So those two things are for me to sort of delegate. And then I also have, so I have 2 loads of laundry I could do today. I typically do the darks when my husband is done working for the week because a lot of his work clothes are dark. You know, jeans, and he has some dark work pants. So one of these needs to get done today. So I kind of have that sitting there as well. So then it's just a matter of deciding where to start. And the only other thing I'll mention is I also have, where is it? Here it is. Okay. So this is my collection of morning personal tasks, all these pink cards. So it's things like writing in my daughter's memory book. Sometimes in the morning is when I'll do a polish change or treat myself to some sort of a manicure or salt scrub on my hands. Sometimes I'll do a face mask. So that's just kind of a reminder to me for all the things that I want to do in my morning routine. So I don't necessarily need to look at this every morning. I pretty much know, you know, what I should be doing to take care of myself. But I have been keeping these clipped together, and usually I'll just kind of quickly flip through like this and say, okay, I've done as much as I want to do today, and then just move it to the next day. So it's just sort of a visual reminder. The whole system, you know, the point of it is to help build some habits. So essentially these are now pretty good habits, but sometimes there's things in here that I realize I haven't done in a while. So it just reminds me to do that and take care of myself a little more. Okay, so since I have my collection for the day, I'm going to start with the things that I know we're going to do last or at the end of the day. So definitely my daughter's stuff, that's going to be at the very end of the day. Laundry I need to start now. Grocery list I need to start now. So at this point, everything's kind of doesn't really matter. I'm just gonna pick up my stacks, probably do the kitchen first, and then some of that outdoor stuff. And then, like I said, this afternoon when I just want to sit up here in my office and kind of rest a little bit after a lot of that household activity, then I'll have those office related tasks. So there is my little stack for the day, and I'll take this down to where I'm usually working out of the kitchen and just have my card box next to me and my little stack. Sometimes I'll set down, you know, 1 or 2 that I'm doing. And then essentially once this is done, since it's a weekly card, I would move this, I'd look on here. And since today is Friday the 11th, most likely next week I'll either do this again on Friday or Saturday. So I will just move it to, where's the 18th? So I just pulled my 18th tab up, put it in front of there, and then that's ready for the next week. So that's how the card system works, is you're just going to use your calendar to help you determine where to place the cards after they're completed. And I don't always get through all the cards in a given day. I'm usually pretty ambitious and think I'm going to get a lot of things done. And often I get quite a few of them done. But if there's something I don't get done, so let's say I don't get these washed towels and rugs done, but I get my darks done. So I'll move my darks to next Friday, which would be the 18th, like we just talked about. So I pretend I just did that. Then my one for my other load of laundry that I kind of wanted to do today, since I didn't get that done, I'm just going to move it to the next day, and maybe tomorrow or even Sunday I'll get that done. So you can see it's pretty flexible and forgiving. I mean, you can be as strict with yourself as you want. I have days where I'm more strict and really trying to push myself just to get things done and check them off the list. And then I have other days where, or a couple of days, it's quite often that I don't look at the cards for a couple of days because I kind of already know what my morning routine is. I know what day of the week it is and what things I'm doing on any given day. In general, you know, there's a lot of upkeep things that you just see and know has to be done around the house. So if I'm busy and feel like I'm keeping up with things good enough, then I just don't worry about it. And then the next time I pick up the cards, I'll kind of flip through and say, oh, yep, I did, you know, 2/3 of these, and put them in their respective boxes. And the ones I didn't get to, then it's up to me to decide, is this really important? And I should put it on today's task list and pile and try to get it done? Is it not that important and I can just move it ahead to the next time it falls, in the system? It's up to us to be the CEO and decide those things. So I like that about the system too, is that it's pretty flexible and you can kind of make it work with whatever season you're in. One of the things that the sisters talk about in the book is they were pretty strict with themselves, I think, when they first initially set up the system. So let's say it's mopping the kitchen and I'm saying that I want to do this weekly. Well, let's say I skipped it last week. So you can have a section on here where you just write, I think I usually do last done, or you could also say skipped. I think they say to say skipped on your card in the book, but I like to do last done because that kind of easily tells me, okay, let's say the last time I did this was on 6/15. So I could say to myself, okay, Natasha, it's now 7/11. What am I trying to do? There we go. 25. And that means it's time to mop my kitchen floor or whatever the case may be. So if you want to have a little more of an accountability system like that for yourself, you can do this last done or skipped. They also say you can give yourselves 2 skips. So same thing, I could look at this and say, well, I've already skipped 3 weeks, so I know I have to do it. Or I've only skipped 1 week, and so it's okay if I skip 1 more week. You can decide for yourself how important it is to do that. The main thing that I like about this system is just how much peace it's given me in knowing I have these cards and tasks laid out and I have a plan and a system in place, and that it's flexible and it can work with my life. I don't have to try to remember these things or remember when I last did them. And it's separate from my planner, so I'm also not rewriting the same things over and over again in my planner, because that's something I struggled with for a while, as I felt like my planner was just filling up with all the household tasks that have to get done and mostly get done anyway. But having them in my planner felt redundant, first of all, because I was rewriting the same things a lot, but then also it just filled up my planner with all these tasks that I don't necessarily need to carry that list of to-do items for home when I go to work or when I go out and about. So having it where it just stays at home, and this is for the family to reference if need be. Granted, mostly it's me using this system, but occasionally I'll, like I said, use those cards to trigger my reminder to my daughter to go do her things. And if I ever needed to say to the whole household, listen, I'm out sick or I can't be home for 3 days, then here's your system and what you can use to follow up with things and keep things going while I'm out or indisposed. The other thing that's nice about this system is because I know things are on repeat and kind of on autopilot, I don't walk around my house seeing things that need to be done and feeling that constant overwhelming to-do list that's just running in the back of my mind. Instead, I can look at those things and know, I kind of have to mentally remind myself, I have a plan for that. That's a thing that falls on my errand day, and I will take care of it on errand day, so I don't need to worry about that right now. Or that's a thing that'll fall when I do my zone cleaning and decluttering in this space, so I don't have to worry about that. So it relieves that mental to-do list a little bit when I'm walking around the house, because I can just remind myself I do have a plan, and these things will get taken care of in due time when it's their turn. And because each day the card collection changes, it helps it feel fresh and interesting every morning when I get the cards out. So there's something about having this system that just makes me feel organized and productive. And I kind of stop overthinking about whether or not I'm motivated or feel like I should do the task or I don't want to do it. And instead I just think, well, let's get a few of these done. Let's take care of this and knock it out. And I kind of get over that hurdle of, do I feel like doing it? Am I motivated to do it? Will it, all those things you kind of get in your head about, I just do it. And I also love that it's an analog system. So, it doesn't require my phone. It doesn't require somebody looking at my phone to see what things have been done and when. It's just all right here, a physical thing we can all touch and use and put it back when we're done, and it's no big deal. And having the rotating cards means I'm not rewriting the same chores in my planner. Instead of planning, I can just jump in and start doing the items for the day that are house related. And that way my planner is for focusing on the other meaningful tasks and not just chores. And my planner, I simply add a line to my monthly habit tracker that says index cards, and that's my little trigger to remind me in case I haven't looked at them that day. That's just one more chance to remind myself to go take a look at them. Something else I've been thinking about adding as I've been using this system more is a whole section of my business tasks. So I thought about using the green cards, since Jordan Essentials is green for their logo. I could have my my weekly check-in that I like to do with my team and some of the little subcategory tasks that I do with that. I could have a card for twice a year when we have a new catalog and some of the prep work that I want to do for that. So it's nice because it's giving my brain another way to think about keeping track of some of these items, and then they can fall in here with everything else. So if it's that biannually catalog release, then I could just move that. Like we have one coming up in August, so that'll be right away, but then the next one won't be until February, so I can just move it to the February card. The other thought I had was with your monthly zone cleaning, you can, of course, you can have a task for each card, which is what I have done initially, but I was thinking the other day it would be really easy to also add a little bit of a habit tracker to this. So I'm just going to sketch it out really quick. But let's say you have, all of your columns for the different months. If you wanted to write less cards and kind of combine my zone tracker with this card system, this would be my recommendation. So let's just say this is your monthly and this is your zone 2 kitchen. So you can say this is all your zone 2 kitchen tasks. Then you're not going to have the time because it's going to vary depending on the item. But then you would just make your headings here. So you'd have your January, February, March, April, May, June, July, all the way and so on. And then just list out your tasks. So it can just be your dusting for the zone. It can be cleaning the glass for the zone. It can be the floor deep clean. You can do your decor and surfaces and kind of declutter that stuff. You can just list out these 7 zone cleaning items and just check off when you've done them. Let's say you only dust every other month, that's fine. And glass you get to for 2 months in a row, and then you skip a month. Doing it this way is another way you can track it and see what you've been doing, and then it's a little bit less a fewer amount of cards to write initially. Now this setup process is going to take a little longer, but if you have some sort of a stamp, you could use that, or even a sticker that was like a, if it had 12 columns, then you could use that to add to your zone cleaning. So that's another idea I have. I have not implemented that yet because I'm still kind of tweaking and seeing how I want to use the system in some ways, but there's a few things like that it's really easy to make the system work for you and adjust it to whatever your needs are. And then, like I mentioned, they talk about really using this as your whole control journal replacement. So you would have tabs in the back for wish lists and for reference things like, address, name, phone number of close family members or people that you reach out and contact quite a bit. You could have a place where you put the sizes of everyone, especially if you have kids. You can write down their current measurements or their current shoe size. If you're having to not repurchase, but having to purchase new clothing a lot because they're growing, then that could be a way to use it. You can have a spot for your Christmas gift ideas. There's a lot of ways to then expand on the Essential system where it becomes a good reference place as well as your to-do list for every day. And the thing about having your wish lists in here is that anyone in the family can access them. So, my wish list that I would love for my family to look at when they know it's time to get me a gift is very accessible if it's in here versus if it's on my phone or in my planner, no one's going to know how to find it. So there's some benefits to that part of this analog system as well. So my suggestion, if you want to get started with this system, is to just begin with a very short basic list of some things that you think you want to try using your cards for. If you feel like you have no problem doing your morning routine and evening routine and beds are getting made and all those things are happening without any sort of reminders, then don't make cards for them. If that's a struggle and you feel like I wish I could just get up and make my bed every day. Then make some of those cards that really walk you through step by step some of those tasks you're going to do in a day. My suggestion is to start with a list first. So just like they recommend in the book, if you have this list somewhere, like you can just keep it in your planner, in your family control journal. You could fold it up and put it in the back. But by having the list where you list the frequency, the estimated time, whether it's a mini job, meaning it's 10 minutes or less, and if it's something you can delegate, and then what color the card is. I did this for myself, and then I also added a check mark whenever I made that card. So step one is making your list and deciding what you're going to start with. Again, you don't have to go full blown and do the entire house and all of the chores you could ever think of at once. If you want to start small, just do a few things and do those zone cleaning trackers for each week of the month, and then you'd have your 5 zones. That could be enough. But anytime you think of something that you want to add a card, I would add it to your list as well, so that you don't end up duplicating cards. Because I noticed that as I've used it more, there's been a couple times where I went to go add a card because I had the idea that would be helpful, and I double checked, and one time I had actually already made the card and I forgot that I made it. So it's nice to have your reference list just to know that you've made whatever cards, or haven't made them, what's still remaining to be made. So I will have all the resources linked down below. And like I mentioned, it's a great book to listen to if you can either listen to the audio book on Audible or on Hoopla if you go through the library system, so then it's free. It's just a really fun listen, and I've listened to it multiple times because it's been encouraging and motivating and just kind of gets me in the right frame of mind to get back to using my cards and making the most of them. One other tip I'll mention too is I started to notice there were some things that I was already, here's my basic weekly plan. So there's been some things that, like this, I don't feel like I need to look at this every day because I've done the Fly Lady system so long, I pretty well know that. Same thing with my zones. And these were some things I took from, I think, a video I watched or something. But there were some cards that I just decided I don't really need these in my rotation. They were more just a reminder, like setting the table and putting away dishes. I do pretty well keeping up with those things. So once I realized that they weren't really a necessary card for me, I just decided to put them at the back. So if I ever feel like, you know what, I'm not keeping up with those things and I need to go back to using that card, I could pull that card out and put it back in the rotation. But it's also nice to know, okay, what if I am building these good habits and getting better at keeping up with things without the card telling me? Then if it starts to feel not necessary, then just put that card in the back and store it away and know that you've made some good progress. So if you want to try this system for yourself, I do have the free printable guide to help you get started. So you can click the link in the description and you can check out my Fly Lady checklist as well. And that might give you some inspiration on what to put on your own list. And if you love cozy organization with purpose, don't forget to subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and share it with a friend who needs some peace in her home life. And share it with me in the comments as well if you've used this system, if this is brand new to you and you're excited to give it a try, or if this doesn't seem like this works for what you need, then that's okay too. I'd love to just hear what you think about this system in general. So thanks so much for watching. Have a good one, and I'll see you next time. Bye.